Good morning, scholars. Happy Wednesday. Today we are going to talk about cold-blooded, scaly vertebrates. By the end of the day, you will turn in Wednesday, October 14th, ELA. We will start with a read aloud. Then we will do some prefix practice. And finally, you'll have an exit ticket. So let's start with our vocabulary. Our first word today is calcified. Say it. Calcified, and that's hardened, especially by deposits of the mineral known as calcium salts. So something could be hardened or calcified. Next word, sensitive. Say it. Sensitive. So that's able to feel something very quickly or intensely. Next word, venomous. Say it. Venomous. That's having or producing poisonous fluid. This is a venomous snake. And our last word today is reptile. Say it. Reptile. And that's a cold-blooded animal with tough, scaly skin, and it uses its surroundings to control its body temperature. So today you might see some words that you don't know. What do you usually do when you don't know a word? Do you keep reading? Do you ask someone? Do you look it up in a dictionary? I want to show you some strategies today for what to do when you encounter one of those tricky words. You can look to see if there are pictures. Usually there are in our reader. You can think about what would make sense. Is there a word that you could put in instead of that word that makes sense? You want to look at the beginning letter and sound. Maybe there's a prefix that you know and can decode what the rest of the word means based on that. You might look for chunks that you know. So you may not know how to pronounce the whole word, but do you know how to pronounce part of it? And do you know what part of the word means? You can skip it, read to the end, and then go back and see if you can decipher the meaning based on what you've read. So one thing you can do is look for what we call context clues. Context clues just means you're looking at the context of the word, so what's around the word, and trying to see if there are any clues about its meaning. If you're looking at a book like our reader, you might look in the glossary in the back of the book to see if there's a definition for the word. You can also look at the sentences before and after to see if there's any clues that give away the meaning. There are also signal words such as called, is or are, and then commas that might denote that there is going to be a definition in between a couple of commas, also known as an appositive. And then you could also look at prefixes and suffixes. So you might notice a common prefix like un or re, which means not or again, or a common suffix such as full or able, meaning full of or able to do. So today, as you are listening to the story, there are going to be a couple pausing points where you are going to try to decipher the meaning of the word with me. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Rattenborough, and I'll stop us when we come across a tricky unknown word.
Chapter 10. Reptiles. Cold-blooded scaly vertebrates. Hello, boys and girls. As you can see, Anna Anaconda is our starting place for today's lesson. She is a green anaconda, one of the largest snakes in the world. When she unwinds, she is about as long as 6 of you stretched head to toe across the room, and she weighs about 500 pounds. That's more than about 8 of you put together.
Let's pause there. The word I want to look at is unwind. The sentence says, when she unwinds, she is about as long as 6 of you stretched from head to toe across the room. Our context clues are as long as 6 of you, largest snakes in the world, that was in the previous sentence, and the prefix un means not, so not wind or not wound. So we could also say straightened.
Anna Anaconda belongs to a group of animals that shares a lot of the same characteristics as the amphibians you learned about last time. Who knows the name of the group used by taxonomists to classify snakes? Yes, Snakes are reptiles. Reptiles include crocodiles, alligators, lizards, turtles, and tortoises. But right now, I want to focus on one reptile only, Anna. It's no secret that she has a very high opinion of herself. She was quite fond of telling me so when I visited Peru. She thinks she is rather pretty, and I quite agree. In spite of her heavy body, Anna is a very good swimmer. Unlike some of her reptilian relatives, she is an aquatic snake, preferring swamps and rivers to the land. Snakes often have a bad reputation. Some snakes are poisonous, releasing poisonous liquid called venom when they bite. Anna's teeth are actually quite small and she is not venomous, so you need not worry about that. However, some people fear anacondas because they are members of a family of snakes called constrictors. Does anyone know what that means? Constrictors catch and kill their prey by coiling or wrapping around prey and squeezing them very tightly. Anacondas' jaws open so wide that they can swallow animals whole: fish, caiman, even jaguars and small deer. The anaconda's powerful muscles crush the bones of its prey as it constricts. Once swallowed, the anaconda slowly digests its meal. Uh-oh, some of you look fearful. Don't worry, you're safe. Anacondas don't live where you live in North America. You'll find them far, far away on the continent of South America. That's where I met Anna. Anna was sure to tell me that as far as she knows, there is no documented record of an anaconda ever killing a man, woman, or child. She and all anacondas are nocturnal animals, and they hunt at night, eating frogs, toads, birds, fish, and turtles. She doesn't have to hunt very often because one animal will satisfy her appetite for a long time.
So let's pause here and look at the word appetite. It said she doesn't have to hunt for very long because one animal will satisfy her appetite for a long time. Our context clues are hunt, one animal will satisfy, and eating frogs, toads, and birds. This could mean hunger. It will satisfy her hunger for a long time.
Well, that's a lot of information about Anna's characteristics, the ways by which scientists classify her as belonging to the animal class called reptiles or reptilia. Anna and other reptiles share some common characteristics with amphibians. Many scientists believe reptiles evolved from amphibians. Reptiles are all vertebrates because they all have backbones, and they are all cold-blooded because their internal temperatures change with their surroundings. Most reptiles can adjust their body temperatures by basking in the sun to stay warm or by hiding under a rock to stay cool. Just like amphibians, reptiles live on land and in water. However, these two groups do, of course, have their differences. Amphibians depend upon water to stay alive much more so than reptiles. Amphibians' thin, wet, slimy skin needs moisture to absorb oxygen from the air, but reptiles' skin is waterproof. Unlike toads and salamanders, Anna and other reptiles do not breathe through their skin, which is hard, dry, and scaly. They use only their lungs to breathe air, which means they are able to withstand very harsh dry weather conditions under which amphibians would not be able to survive. Of course, because they have lungs, this also means that reptiles cannot stay underwater very long without coming to the surface to breathe. Amphibians usually spend part of their lives entirely in water, but this is not true of reptiles as a group. Whereas amphibians begin life with gills, reptiles are born with lungs and are never dependent upon gills for breathing. Remember how different baby tadpoles look from adult toads? This is not the case for reptiles. Baby reptiles usually look a lot like their parents. they do not undergo metamorphosis the way that amphibians do. Look at all of these reptiles side by side. Chameleons, Komodo dragons, crocodiles, and alligators. What do you notice about their skin? Is it rough or smooth? Does it look thick or thin? Remember when I mentioned that reptiles' skin is waterproof and that it is hard, thick, and scaly? Their type of scaly skin protects them from overheating, and because their skin is waterproof, it keeps water inside their bodies. Because reptiles' skin is very sensitive to, or easily affected by temperature, it becomes hot or cold very quickly when exposed to sun or shade. Like many amphibians, some reptiles shed their skin. Many lizards and snakes shed their skin several times a year as they grow. Snakes do not eat their shed skin the way amphibians do. Turtles and tortoises are the only reptiles with bony shells as part of their skeletons. Their backbones are actually fused to their shells. These shells may be flat or domed. Turtles have softer shells so that they can swim faster, but land-dwelling tortoises need hard, leathery shells to protect them from predators. Their legs vary in appearance, depending upon where they live as well. Sea turtles have oar-shaped flippers for moving through water effectively. Many turtles have claws which help them dig. And pond turtles also have webs between their claws to effectively maneuver or move through water. Land tortoises, like the giant Galapagos, have huge, column-shaped legs with claws. These claws help them dig into the ground to move across it. Some turtle species live for more than a century. That's a very long time indeed. Body coverings are an important difference between amphibians and reptiles. Another thing that sets the two groups apart is their eggs. Remember the picture that showed strands of thousands of soft eggs that Tabitha Toad laid in the pond? Most reptiles lay far fewer eggs, and they lay their eggs in nests on land. Membranes, soft outer coverings that provide protection and also help to hold in necessary water for eggs to grow, usually coat the inside of reptilian eggs. In most reptile species, the eggs are also covered in leathery, calcified shells. A few snakes and lizards give birth to fully formed live young instead of laying eggs. The garter snake, a snake that is right here in North America, is one of these exceptions to the rule. So is the Solomon Island skink, a lizard whose habitat is near the continent of Australia. Like amphibians, reptiles live all over the world. They prefer hot, low areas like rainforests, prairies, deserts, and oceans. But they can be found everywhere except near the cold South Pole. If you are as fascinated as I am with reptiles and amphibians, you may want to think about becoming a herpetologist. Yes, indeed, herpetologist is the name given to a scientist who specializes in herpetology, the study of certain crawling animals, specifically reptiles and amphibians. With more than 5,600 species of lizards alone, that should keep you busy for a lifetime.
All right. So, how is the waterproof scaly skin helpful to reptiles? It keeps water in and keeps them from overheating and protects them. We know that they're cold-blooded, so keeping this water in to cool themselves is really important. What major characteristics represent the animals in the group called reptiles? So what are some characteristics of reptiles? They're cold-blooded, they're vertebrates, covered in scales or bony plates, and they usually lay eggs or have lungs. So let's transition from thinking about reptiles. Now we're going to start talking about prefixes. And this is something we've talked about a few times now. We know a prefix goes at the beginning of the word, and a suffix goes at the end of the word. The root word is the word that we are modifying. Today we're looking at the prefix re and pre. So if we add the prefix re to a word, it means to do again. Like you're repeating something, you're doing it again. Re. If we add the prefix pre, that means before. Even the word prefix has a prefix in it because it means before the root word. Pre means before. So we might add re to a word like write. That would mean rewrite. We might add pre to a word like heat, meaning preheat to heat again, or heat before something else. If you're rewriting, you're writing something again. If you're preheating, you're heating it before doing something else. So doing something again with the prefix re could be refilling to fill again, reload to load again, retell to tell again, rename to name again. Adding the prefix pre before a word, pre-cook to cook before, preset to set before, pre-select to select before, and prepay to pay before. What about heat? Would we add pre or re? We could add either preheat, heating before, or reheat, heating again. For pay, we could add pre for prepay, pay before, or re to repay someone back. View, we could add pre or re, preview to preview something before, review to view something again. Tell, we could say retell. I might ask you to retell a story. Name, rename. We might rename a monument or a park. And fill. We could refill things like a cup or pre-fill things. So to fill something beforehand. With that, we are going to transition into our exit ticket. It is under week 6, Monday, October 12th through the 15th. You're going to click into the Google form first. We're working with unknown words. So it's your turn to practice what we did in the read aloud today. You'll be shown 2 sentences from the chapter today, and I want you to figure out what the bold word means. So use the context clues, the words around it. Try to figure out what the word could mean. So, like Anna, they are nocturnal hunters, hunting at night. What does the word nocturnal mean in the sentence above? You would say, nocturnal means blank. Same thing for number 2. Reptiles are known for molting or shedding their skin. So there, they gave you a definition after a comma. That's one of the clues that you needed to look for to find the meaning of a word. You would write, molting means blank. When you're done, don't forget to turn it in. If you have some extra time, you can go into your week 6 spelling words. There is a practice test in there. Go ahead and take the practice test and see which words you need to review before next Monday. And that's it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of your day.